That's 672-5763. Now, your host for Public Pulse, Floyd Whiting.
Good morning and welcome to Public Pulse. Now, I'm here to tell you, be careful if you're hitting the highways and the interstate this morning. Give yourself much more time to reach your destination. It took me 45 minutes to get to work, and I drove past one nasty accident on the way. So please, be safe, give yourself some time, and use that time wisely. Joining me this morning from the museum at the Bighorns, a couple of ladies that use their time very well, is the collections manager, Jessica Salzman, and board member, Audrey Meyer. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Now, Jessica, how have things been down at the museum? It's been a while since I had you on.
Oh, it's been going. It's been busy and lots of changes and lots of events. So it's been keeping me on my toes in a good way.
Good. Now, for those individuals who have gone to the website is currently down. The museum is getting that taken care of. It was one of those situations a little bit out of your control, but it will come back around, correct?
That's what we're hoping. We're working on it. We've got some temporary email addresses. If anyone needs those, just give us a call at the museum and we can give those to you. And we're hoping to have a website up here sometime this week. And we're going to be working to get our old domain back because, technology's fun like that.
It absolutely isn't.
Yay.
Right?
I thought I was an age problem, but it's everybody.
It's everybody.
It's everybody. Now, have you received anything exciting this year as we go into the winter season? Have you received anything exciting to add to your collection?
Probably the most recent accession that we got to the museum was the donation of, it was 2 programs. One was from an All-American Indian Days, I can't remember which year, and one was from Sheridan's Diamond Jubilee. So those are going to be great additions to the museum's archives.
That's fantastic. And they were actual programs that someone had kept.
Yeah, they're this nice staple-bound souvenir ones. So,
how old would you say those were?
Oh, when was the Diamond Jubilee? It was a while ago.
Yeah, about 20, 25 years.
Yeah, and then All-American Indian Days stopped in the 70s, I think. So they're good age.
Did they show up in good condition?
Yeah, they did. It looks like someone kept them in pretty good shape.
And so those will just be archived, or will those be out on display?
Well, it'll depend on the future. In the meantime, they'll be preserved and documented and available to researchers. And if we ever do an event if we ever do an exhibit that is in where those items would be a great addition, then they'll be on exhibit.
When it comes to paper items like that, I do know that forever, there was a type of acid that was used within inks. And a lot of times, paper doesn't last through that ink. That's one reason why, folks, if you've ever kind of gone into an archive and thumbed through old newspapers, they're extremely brittle.
Yeah.
I've thumbed through newspapers from 1865.
I prefer my newspapers digital, especially if they're archival.
Have you noticed any time frame when they may have stopped using that, or do we just...
There's still a lot of problems with paper, even if the acid isn't acidic. I always say paper doesn't play nice with itself.
Yeah.
It still yellows. It still affects the other pages that are in it. If you have a piece of paper that's more acidic and you put it on another one that's more acidic, you will literally have acid burn on the other piece of paper.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So, and then photos are a completely different thing. Like photo ink really doesn't play well with itself or play well with others.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that you have to do to try to preserve these things. And one of them is acid-free products. Another one's making sure you have really good scans and photos to preserve them in the worst case scenario of something falling apart.
Yeah, that brittleness, I can remember thumbing through those old newspapers and just trying to grab a corner to turn the page gently. Boy, just it was like a leaf, like an old leaf.
I'm surprised they let you even touch the old newspapers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was at a newspaper that I was working at, and you consistently had to go into their archives and look back through because none of it has been digitalized.
Yeah.
So it's all still right there in the old form. And man, I'm hoping that business one day sits down and pays the money, which I could only imagine how much that would cost. My goodness. But it just comes apart like it's like trying to flip a page made of a leaf that has been sat in the sun. It just flickers right off.
Yeah,
It's
and
amazing.
so you were lucky even to be able to have that to look
absolutely,
at it. So,
absolutely. Once the breakdowns really start to occur, they kind of just tuck it aside, and they're like, "Well, there it is. We're just hoping something better comes along so we can actually save this information." Now, the museum at the Bighorns has also recently hired a new executive director. How has the transition gone? And Edry, feel free to jump in on this one, because as a board member, you were critical in this process.
It took us a long time to find the right person. It took 6 months to find Danny. I mean,
Wow.
so we're really fortunate in that Peak Consulting allowed us to use Camden part-time, and Jessica stepped up to the plate. And thank you to Jessica for a lot of the administrative help she's done with. But we were really busy this summer because, as you can imagine, people were cooped up from COVID and they wanted to get out. And so they came to the museum. And so we had a lot of visitors from out of state. But we're so excited to have Danny with her background and she's very mature, and the nice thing is she has been a consultant. She's been at museums. She's got the degrees, and she knows what she's doing. And so, as she said to me, she said, I and Jessica know about museums, and you folks know about the community. So it should be a really good experience for all of us.
Oh, yeah. And going forward, Jessica, what are the experiences that Danny's had? Has she been a collections manager, kind of worked her way up? Or
She has a really wide variety of experiences. When she started her career, she did a little collections work, but for the bulk of her career, she has been in like educational outreach and worked in programming. So she's a great complement to the skills that I have, where I know how to do a museum program, I know how to do an educational program, but it's not my main focus. She really knows how to bring programming to another level. So we're really excited to have that experience that she's bringing to us from the State Historical Society of North Dakota, where she's been for the last 10, 15 years. So,
oh, fantastic. So with all the work that you were kind of stepping in and doing, is it a bit of a relief?
oh, of course it's a relief.
You can kind of focus on other things a little more attentively now.
Well, that's the thing that's nice about a transition is you get to sit down with the other person, especially when you're a staff of two, and kind of go, who's doing what?
Yeah.
And so we're still, because this will be the start of her third week. So we're still sitting there and she's learning where the light switches are. And we're going to figure out who's going to be focusing on what for the best situation for the museum.
Right. So now she's going to be, but as an executive director, her primary job is like administrative, correct?
Correct. But there's so much more that she's bringing to the table, and we're just so excited to have her. And hopefully she'll even kind of give the board direction. We've had a lot of new board members this year, and so a lot of changes have happened at the museum. So if you haven't been up there, please visit us.
Now, who are those new board members? How many did you add?
Okay. Well, Greg Lumen came on before our annual meeting. He filled a position that was somebody resigned, and Todd Windsor, Scott Nickerson, and Dana Prater. So 1, 2, 3, 4 new board members, and there were 6 of us before that carried through the summer with Jessica's help, and so we were kind of shorthanded on a bunch, and we're just so excited to have so many new members. And with a new executive director and things, there's a lot happening all at once, and so it takes a little while to settle down. I know I've been executive directors of nonprofits in the past, and it's usually taken me at least 6 months to figure out what's going on. You're lucky she knows where the light switches are.
Yeah, exactly.
They're right outside her office.
Bob calls that transition period learning the bathrooms.
Yeah.
You're learning where all the bathrooms are at. You're learning what everybody does. Edry, how many members are supposed to be on the board if the board was full?
It would be 12, and we had with 1, 2, 3, 4 new members. We had 2 more people apply. We've asked them to wait until we can get adjusted and get
Yeah.
organized and work as a whole. And then our staff of full-time people working together. And so there's a lot going on right now. So please have patience with us. But I'm so excited for the museum. It's headed in the right direction, guys, and it's going to be great.
It's almost as if everyone is at this period where we're all taking a big breath before we jump in and start hard transition stuff.
Exactly.
Everyone, we're getting our pieces put into place. Now, what exactly are the responsibilities of the museum board?
The board mainly sets policy and fundraises. So the staff carries out policies, and they're the ones that make the events happen and things happen at the museum. And so when you see Jessica and you see Danny, be sure to extend your appreciation to them for all the work that they do. And Camden over this summer, she was great.
The troops on the ground, right?
Yeah,
the ones in the
right.
trenches. Now, Camden is finished with you guys over there then, and she'll head on to probably do the same thing in another organization somewhere, right?
We hope she's not completely finished.
Yeah. We hope she sticks around at least somewhat because we're going to miss her. She was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're going to have more with the museum at the Bighorns. Stick around. This is Public Pulse on 930 KROE and 103.9 FM. Share it.
At Eliason Financial, money management isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about dreams and opportunities, and more importantly, family. We'll take time to get to know you. Then we'll develop a unique wealth management plan that works hard, just like you. To learn more about who we are and what our wealth management advisors can do for you, visit Eliason Financial online or call 307-672-3010. Securities offered through Royal Alliance Associates, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC.
Session or just want to hear the preliminary results, we want you. Come to the Community Review Town Hall meeting on Thursday, November 3rd from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the YO Theater Black Box. Your input will help prioritize topics from the survey and listening sessions. Your suggestions will influence where future dollars are spent in Sheridan County. No reservations are needed, just show up. Click on the Thrive 2035 logo on SheridanCounty.com for more information.
Hi, welcome to Homestar. I'm Sheridan.
Hi, Sheridan. I'm Nickelwise, the dancing clown.
You just moved here from Derry, Maine?
Yeah, so now we know each other.
While you fill out your loan application, you can vote for Homestar's Scariest Movie of All Time bracket on SheridanMedia.com. You'll be entered for a chance to win $100 in chamber bucks.
What are you afraid of?
Ha, I'm not afraid of getting your home loan, that's for sure. Wow, this home you want to finance has a huge basement.
Oh, there's all sorts of surprises down here.
Hey, thanks for the balloon. Don't forget to vote for your scariest movie on SheridanMedia.com.
We all float down here. And you will float too.
Homestar, your easiest way home. NMLS number 70864.
As we enter the fall months, have you made that plan to market your business? Are you stuck? Confused on what to do? Hi, this is Bob Grammons, General Manager at Sheridan Media. Let us help you put a plan in place as we gear up for the holiday season. Sheridan Media can market your business on up to 9 different radio stations. We can place your print ad in front of nearly 18,000 households in Sheridan and Johnson County with the Country Bounty, or market your business worldwide through a variety of digital products that we offer. We can also place your ad on our 2 websites. Let our creative and experienced marketing team put a well-thought-out and professional, comprehensive marketing plan together to connect with your customers on multiple media platforms. No high pressure. Let's tell your story, whether locally or across the country. Call Sheridan Media today at 672-7421 or email sales@SheridanMedia.com and let us go to work for you.
Good morning and welcome back to Public Pulse. I'm Floyd Whiting. This morning, I am with the museum at the Bighorns Collections Manager, Jessica Salzman, and board member Edry Meyer. Now, recently, the Girl Scouts celebrated 100 years in Wyoming. To mark the event on October 15th, the museum at the Bighorns hosted an event to celebrate 100 years of the Girl Scouts in the Cowboy State. A special presentation of the history of the Girl Scouts here was led by Jean Harm. How did that celebration go?
I think it went pretty well. It was a great opportunity for people who had fond memories of being in Girl Scouts to talk about their experiences through the decades, learn some of the general history from Jean, and then, of course, buy Girl Scout cookies from last Girl Scout cookie season. So that was a perk.
Those things are amazing.
They are.
They are a special treat for a lot of adults out there that they haven't really changed much since I was a kid. I think that's one of the best parts about them. And boy, they were worth their weight in gold over in Iraq. Jessica, what items does the museum actually have from the organization throughout its history?
Well, that's a great question. We've actually, like, Jean Harm has been in Girl Scouts in the Sheridan area for a very long time, and she's collected a lot of Girl Scout memorabilia, and she's donated some of it to us. So we have great uniforms, we have some trophies, we have hats, I have books, I have an empty Girl Scout cookie box.
Ooh.
So from like the 90s. So it's a really interesting and varied Girl Scout cookie collection. Like, I have uniforms dating from the late 70s, but starting in like the 1930s. So it's pretty interesting.
Wow. And how has that changed throughout the years?
Oh, they're completely different.
Really?
Like, the 1930s dress was like a denim one. And
had to be tough, right? Denim's a great material.
Denim? I didn't
yeah,
know
it's
that.
denim.
Wow.
And then they went green after a while.
I was green.
You were green?
Yeah, same.
I learned a lot of my things from Girl Scouts. I think they're a great organization.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. My wife and I discussed this a long time ago. When we knew this was going on, she talked about, if we ever had a little girl, we'd put her into Girl Scouts in a second, because what a great organization for friendship. I mean, it even teaches entrepreneurship. Get out there, sell those cookies, but they do it in a fantastic way, and they do it very smartly. Now, was there anything that you learned during the presentation that you didn't know?
Oh, just so much. Like, the presentation of the history section was just a font of information. But what I thought was most interesting was you'd hear from people who were in the camp in the 80s, 90s, and just talking about how much that impacted their life. And that was a very, very interesting part. Like, there was one woman who talked about her experience going, I believe, over to Switzerland to an international Girl Scout camp. So that was pretty interesting.
It's an amazing organization. And if I remember correctly, the Girl Scouts of America and the Boy Scouts of America are the one organization that I think every president has endorsed and gotten behind, which is a very rare thing. The president isn't supposed to endorse organizations, but I believe the tradition started years and years ago that the president stands up and endorses at least these two. And you think about how many great business owners out there.
Oh, yeah.
And leaders within our own community were once Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
Maybe even some in the denim dresses, looking back on that. Now, let's talk about the Fall Y'all Festival. This was a big festival. How did it go?
It went really well. We had about 300 people attend, and everyone had fun. There was face painting and pumpkin painting and cornhole and a pie walk, and everyone just seemed to be having a great time exploring some of these more old-fashioned, if you will, traditional festival activities.
Well, it's a museum, right? We're supposed to engage in that kind of stuff.
And I think there were more than 300 people, because there were a lot of people outside that never came inside, and Jessica just counted the people that came in through the front doors.
Oh, wow. So you had
they were
folks stop by.
Yeah, we had activities outdoors and food trucks, and people stopped for the food trucks and what's going on and things of that nature. So there were a lot. I would say probably 100 more people.
Wow.
It was huge. It was a huge success. There was lots of people there.
How did that make you feel, Edry, sitting out there seeing the community kind of respond to the festival of their museum, essentially.
Well, I was so excited because it says, museum's important to us. We want to know what's going on, and we will take advantage of what's happening. And so I felt great to answer your question. It was wonderful.
The one thing that I do miss from my youth that will probably never be done again, on a organizational scale, bobbing for apples.
Ooh.
Not very sanitary, but yeah, it's comical to watch.
Yeah. But I remember doing that when I was a kid at the school gatherings during the fall, and I always enjoyed it. But I was good too. Maybe that's why I miss it so bad, because I was dang good. I could pull out a lot of apples out of that. But as you said, could you imagine that now post-COVID? Post-COVID.
I remember the things that let you win a goldfish. That was that was fond memories for me.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we got coming up for the rest of October?
At the rest of October, we have one event left. It's Halloween at the museum. It's going to be on October 29th from 1 to 3. And it's going to be free admission, wear your costumes, and the kids will get a chance to do a scavenger hunt and get a candy prize at the end when they solve it.
Now, what's the scavenger hunt? Is it like a little walk through Halloween history, or?
Well, it's actually just a walk through the museum. We have 2 levels, one for kids who can read and one for kids who can't. The one for kids who can't read, it'll be like their parents will be like, this says drum, let's go find the drum. And they'll walk through and they'll just X out when they find the items, and they're still getting to go and look at objects in the museum. For the older kids, it'll be kind of like, what year was the bison mural painted?
Oh.
And or what tribe is known by most people as the Crow? Questions like that that'll walk them through the gallery, make them engage with panels, engage with objects, and not too hard, just fun. And then they get a prize.
Mixing Halloween with history.
Yeah. Fun activities.
Fun activities coming out of there, probably knowing something after that they didn't know before.
What I like what Jessica does, she gets people involved in the exhibits and touching and not. You can't touch. I've learned that.
They can touch the interactives.
Yeah, but panels and so interactive parts. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's really good. So if you're thinking what to do, please bring your kid to the Halloween museum.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great, and you get to see staff in fun costumes, and it's just going to be a great day.
Now, do you go all out and decorate everything as you go through?
We decorate the gift shop.
Yeah. Preserve everything else a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't.
Yes.
Don't want to go throwing old-looking cobwebs on some of that stuff.
No, not really. The only holiday that gets to make its appearance anywhere in the museum is Christmas with a Christmas tree. That's it.
Now, tell me once again when that begins, Jessica.
It's from 1 to 3.
On Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. How did the last History After Dark turn out?
The last History After Dark was a great success. It was a presentation by Cindy Georgian and her husband about essentially crime in Sheridan County saloons for a 30-year period from 1885 to 1915. And it was really fascinating. She was able to incorporate a lot of newspaper clips to really get an account of the time about these crimes from these establishments that a lot of them aren't around anymore. There used to be a lot of almost like pop-up saloons back in the day. So that was fascinating to listen to. We had about 30 people attend.
Oh, that's pretty dang good, right?
Yeah, it was great.
Now, was it lawless? There's been a sheriff in Sheridan since there's been a Sheridan. So, it wasn't like a lawless time that we see in the movies, right?
No, not quite that bad. That was places like Rollins and Lander had some pretty crazy times, but Sheridan was pretty docile, but it was still the West, and still people with hair triggers and knives, and alcohol makes people do fun things when they have guns and knives.
Yes.
That's a nice way to put it. Yeah.
That was a nice way to put it. All right. So what's next for Tidbits?
The next tidbit is going to be November 19th at 10 a.m., and it's going to be covering the it's going to be talking about the history of Veterans Day and how
Wow.
it started as Armistice Day. And then we're going to do like making tissue paper poppies because that's a very World War I thing. And then we might have a couple other patriotic Veterans Day type activities to do.
Actually, sounds pretty fun to make a poppy out of tissue paper.
Well, the thing that excites me about this whole program, what they do is they're teaching kids about history, and that's part of that they really needs. And so we're filling a need that's not in our community. And thanks to Jessica and other people that have that knowledge. So thank you.
Yeah, and they do it through like fun activities. You get to come out of there with something in your hand that reflects the history that you just learned. So now, as we go forward into November, is anything going to change at the museum? Or are we going to set up any kind of other displays? Or what do we have out there right now?
There's not going to be any new exhibits in November. Those will be set up during our winter closure. In November, the event that we have is another History After Dark series. It's going to be about the life of Edward Gillette. And he was a fascinating guy. He was born in New Haven, Connecticut, went to Yale, and then decided he was going to rough it in surveying in front of railroad construction for like the next 10, 15 years. So definitely not as delicate as you would think he was. So he had a really fascinating life.
And he was the one, if I remember correctly, either he was the individual who made the decision or he advised the individual not to put the railroad through Johnson County.
Yeah.
Because of the Johnson County cattle war that was going on at the time.
Yeah, that's he doesn't really address that in his autobiography, surprisingly enough.
Wonder why.
There's a lot of conspiracy, though, about like, did Henry Coffeen move to Sheridan from Bighorn because Gillette was dating his daughter and he got the inside knowledge? Who knows?
That's what I understand.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
A little bit of controversy behind Mr. Gillette. Now, of course, the city of Gillette is named after Edward Gillette. Do you remember what the city was named before?
Donkeytown.
Donkeytown,
Oh,
USA.
no. I didn't know that.
And Gillette never lived there. He literally saved the railroad company so much money, like his team did, that they were all like, we're going to get a bonus. This is going to be great. They're going to give us money. And they just sent a letter, that's great. You saved us so much money. We're just going to name Donkeytown Gillette.
Wow. So that was their reward for him.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
So the rest of his team's like, awesome. And even Gillette's like, what?
I would have much rather had the money. Thank you. All right.
It used to be named Donkeytown. That's a much better name.
Edry, Jessica, thank you so much for coming in this
thank you
morning.
so
It's
much.
always a pleasure having you guys on. And I look forward to more programming going on up there. And maybe next time we'll have the new executive director, huh?
Yeah.
That's the hope. Yeah, she was really sorry she couldn't make it today.
All right, ladies. When we come back, we will speak with Democratic candidate for the Wyoming House of Representatives to represent District 29, Martha J. Wright. This is Public Pulse on 930 KROE and 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
At Eliason Financial, money management isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about dreams and opportunities, and more importantly, family. We'll take time to get to know you. Then we'll develop a unique wealth management plan that works hard, just like you. To learn more about who we are and what our wealth management advisors can do for you, visit Eliason Financial online or call 307-672-3010. Securities offered through Royal Alliance Associates, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC.
Tax planning is not just tax preparation. With the changes due to tax reform over the last few years, you need a tax planner to ensure you are getting the most value for your business. We offer advisory services customized to your needs to help maintain financial viability while achieving future goals. Come see us today. Parker Mellinger, focusing on where you're going, not where you've been.
Quality pre-owned Chevy Tahoes are here at Hammer Chevrolet, Troy Baker.
Bob, these 2021 Tahoes come with low miles and are priced below NADA book value. We have a 2021 Chevy Tahoe LS with 20,000 miles, shadow gray metallic for $49,995. A Tahoe RST 21,000 miles, cherry red tint coat for $71,495, or a black Tahoe Z71 with 8,500 miles for $74,695.
Hammer Chevrolet at 107 East Alger, online, hammerchevy.com.
Every Every 4 years, the citizens of Sheridan County have the opportunity to vote on the county's general purpose excise tax, known as the 1 cent optional. This tax is used to benefit every community throughout our county on things from social and health services to public facilities and infrastructure, including parks and pathways. For more information on the tax, please contact your elected officials or visit SheridanCounty1cent.com and vote on November 8th. Message paid for by Sheridan County.
Champion Funeral Home is dedicated to providing compassionate and personalized service to your families. They provide support, personable care, and affordable prices to Sheridan and Johnson County and surrounding areas. Champion Funeral Home has been family-owned and operated since 1911. They will comfort you in your time of need and provide your family with a meaningful tribute to your loved one. Contact Champion Funeral Home at championfh.com or call 674-6369.
Your time is valuable, especially when you are sick or injured. At Sheridan Memorial Hospital Urgent Care, once your visit is complete, we can send you home with the prescription medications you need to feel better right away. You get the medications you need immediately, with no extra stops or waits on your way home. This is Dr. David Nickerson, Medical Director at Sheridan Memorial Hospital Urgent Care. Our new take-home medication service is just one more way we deliver value and convenience to our patients. Walk-ins are always welcome, or you can save your spot online at SheridanUrgentCare.com.
Nestled in between Halloween shenanigans and voting escapades, 6 finalists will be competing for a share of $100,000 in startup funding. Jessica Madden here from Impact 307, inviting you to the Sheridan Startup Challenge Pitch Night, Tuesday, November 1st at 5:30 p.m. at the WYO Theater. Immediately following presentations, you'll get to eat, drink, and gab with the finalists until winners are announced. And of course, there will be an Audience Choice Award determined 100% by you. Admission is free, and Pitch Night will be live streamed on SheridanMedia.com.
Good morning. Welcome back to Public Pulse, brought to you by our friends out there at Eliason Financial. I'm Floyd Whiting. Martha J. Wright is running for election to the House of Representatives to represent District 29, which encompasses much of the city of Sheridan, and is currently represented by Republican Mark Kinner, who decided not to file for re-election in 2022. Now, good morning, Mrs. Wright. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How's your Monday morning been?
Oh, it's been rough. This ice caught me by surprise on the roads. It took me a little long to get to work this morning. But
yes.
Made it. Nice and slow. That's how we do it, just like a turtle. All right, now, we'll just start from the beginning. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Cheyenne, actually born in Casper, but we moved to Cheyenne, and that's where I was raised. Graduated East High School there. And so it was a good time back in that time frame. Lots of good memories from Cheyenne.
Yeah, good old Cheyenne Frontier days, still rolling right along. Yeah.
Yes, every year.
Now, where were you educated?
Well, I've gone to community college and actually went to a 2-year program to become a certified medical assistant.
Oh, wow.
And that was the time where we were trained to work in both the front and the back offices. So I was in the medical field for a number of years. And then I've also had some education in early childhood development. Did not pursue that as a career. And also a certified caregiver. So a lot of my career has been in service to others, taking care of people, trying to make their lives better. And it's brought me a lot of joy to do that. And I also recognize that that's something that the legislators are to do, is make our lives better. And it's my hope to get into the legislature and do just that.
Yeah. Now, what do you do now in your civilian life?
I'm retired, and I've been working. I've done volunteer work. I was a caregiver here for seniors. In the past, I've also been a caregiver for special needs adults.
Oh, wow.
And then an instructor at the YMCA for deep water aerobics and active older adults.
What inspired you to run for legislature? Where does this come from?
Well, I had never even thought of it. And when a committee member called and asked if I would consider it, it was such a surprise. But really just thinking the process through, I realized that I could be an alternative voice. Here in Wyoming and such, we hear the same thing so often. There's not a lot of difference in the message that is going out. And I wanted to bring things up and discuss things that are often not talked about. And then the other part would be to, at the general election, have two names on the ballot instead of just one name, like happens so frequently and happens so often in the elections.
Especially here in Wyoming, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Now, what would you say your core values are?
Well, and this is what I was taught, and I know we talk a lot about Wyoming values, and I feel that respect is something that I have was raised with and continued and bring today to the campaign. Generosity, giving back to the community, being willing to share, and then kindness, being nice to one another, treating others as you would want to be treated. And actually my slogan is, with courage and kindness, we will make a difference. And I don't think that we need to have just, verbally attack each other or such, to have a listening ear. Yeah. I don't know if a listening ear is a value, but that is something else that I feel strong about.
Boy, I'll tell you what, a listening ear is a value when you don't have one.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
When you don't have one to listen to you. Now, how would you say that those values are going to carry you forward and reflect your leadership in lawmaking?
Well, and interesting you ask that, because when I'm out canvassing in the District 29, and as soon as I talk about running a purple campaign, blending the parties so that we can communicate with each other and find solutions, everybody would say, well, how are you going to do that? That's a great idea. It sounds good. How are you going to do that? And really I want to listen to the other side. I want to communicate. I want to research. I want to be an informed legislator and not just have big money talk to me. Big money has not found me at this point. I don't want a part of that. But I see it all as working together. And if we just say, well, you're on the other side of the aisle, I'm not interested, I don't care. I care. And because of that, I'm going to listen to the constituents. I'm going to listen. And I also recognize anything I do in Cheyenne affects the state. It's the state legislature. We go on that. So,
how do you feel about the political environment currently? It's pretty divided, or at least there are some outlets, media outlets, that want people to believe that the entire nation is divided. Now, that being said, I do realize that the political environment is pretty divided, but I wouldn't say it's as divided as it's ever been. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel that there is a lot of division, but there's that core group that don't like the division. There can be the extremes, and they seem to be happy where they are. They want changes. They want us to change, and if we don't, then we're in the wrong. But there, as I say, there's that core group that they listen, they like what I offer. Yeah. And to be able to work past that, which I hope is we can do.
Yeah. Now, would you say that is the platform that you're running on, or what would you say that the platform itself is?
Well, I have several issues. that are important to me because they're important to the community, which I will go to. But the one thing I will say, as I'm out talking to people, as soon as I talk about the communication, we don't get to the individual issues frequently because people are so tired of the division.
Really?
Oh, very much so. That's personally what I find time after time. And I know the volunteers that go out with me, that seems to be the focus of people. So, we can talk about the education. That's a hot topic, the health care, the Medicaid expansion. But if we don't start talking to each other, nothing's going to change on these other issues. And people seem to recognize that as soon as I walk up to the front door.
This division even reaches over within the own Republican Party itself. There've been some. I wouldn't call it infighting. I think that's too strong of a word, but we'll call it negotiations on either side down in Cheyenne. Now, according to the Department of Revenue, the Teton County saw the state's greatest jump in property taxes in 2021, 36%. Wyoming's 22 other counties have experienced an average increase of 16.17%. This is an incredible hike in property taxes. How would you work with other lawmakers to reduce this burden on Wyoming families?
Well, and I'm actually to say that the current legislature is actually looking at finding some means to make some changes. There's certainly I also know that property taxes also not only affect the homeowner, but people who are renting, and their rents can be increased because the homeowner needs to get some additional income to cover that property tax. So they're looking at some proposals, and I want to work with them in a long-term solution so that people do not actually lose their home because of the number of property taxes or the dollar amount of their property tax. But it can be, especially for, again, as I'm out in the community and such, there are a lot of seniors that are still living in their home that they raised their families in. So they've been in that home for 30, 40 years, a lot of the times. And so if we can put a cap on it, the taxes, or look at what they paid for it instead of what it would be worth today. Also, when we have a lot of people moving from out of state who have so much money to spend on property, that increases the property rates. And they may not even live in that home full time. It might be their summer home, their winter home, such. But to make adjustments for who the people are, and as you say, there's Teton County, there's Sheridan County. We don't have that dollar amount. Mm-hmm. And look at the individuals. And I know that it's not a blanket increase, but it's a substantial increase that people are having such a hard time covering every single year. It's not like it happens every other year or just sometimes to have to deal with that on a yearly basis. So I want to work with the other legislators to come up with the solutions.
But you would support, from your language just now, you would support putting a cap on that so it doesn't increase with property market value.
Well, that's not a cap for every single person. That is if they've lived in their home for 10, 15 years or such, but especially these long-time homeowners.
Yeah. Yeah, people, like you said, been there, raised their kids, cap theirs. Okay. Now, the Wyoming legislature continues to fail K through 12 funding. What do you see as the problem, and what do you feel could be done?
Well, it is very disappointing that our education has not been the priority. We certainly had an abundance of money for so many years from the oil, gas, and coal. So we had above and beyond quality, and now that's not coming in. But I was disappointed when the committee okayed some charter schools just a month or so ago, and now all of a sudden they're pulling $14 million from funding for the schools that we were already had such a deficit for. This, as you mentioned, there's always this talk about K through 12 funding, and I think it's important to have pre-K through 12 funding. We have over 1,500 children under 5 years of age in Sheridan County. And so they are being failed because it's like, well, you're too young to go to kindergarten, but they want to increase their knowledge. They are just absorbing so much.
I want to give you 2 minutes before we leave the show, ma'am. Go ahead. You've got... Let's do 2 minutes, starting right about now. I want you to be able to say whatever you would like to the community.
Okay, well, Floyd, it's just nice to have had this opportunity to spend with your listeners. And I realize that I may not have the letter behind my name for the party that you most identify with. You may never have voted for a D, and I respect how difficult that decision might be for you. But I am much more than a letter in the alphabet. My convictions and values cross party lines, and my heart has no party. My heart is about people, the people who live in Sheridan and in Wyoming, people who feel they're not being heard, who need a voice in Cheyenne, and I want to be that voice. So, there's so much that can be discussed in regards to mental health. They refer to it as a crisis here in Wyoming. But what is a crisis other than we are number one in suicide rates, and we make the national news because of that. We are just our whole mental health. I remember reading something that we are 45th in the country for providing mental health care. We switch over to Medicaid expansion. That can help with Medicare, mental health. And that not only would allow people to get that coverage, but the families who have no health care and have to go to the doctor, have to buy the prescriptions.
I'm out of time, ma'am. I want to thank you for coming in. I greatly appreciate it. It was good talking with you. Thank you for coming in today, and best of luck in the election.
Thank you very much.
You've been listening to Public Pulse on 930 KROE and 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
At Eliason Financial, money management isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about dreams and opportunities, and more importantly, family. We'll take time to get to know you. Then we'll develop a unique wealth management plan that works hard, just like you. To learn more about who we are,